You've seen them, right? Those massive cranes on a skyline, the gleaming new buildings that seem to pop up overnight and totally reshape our cities. But have you ever stopped to wonder how they really get built? Because it's not just about concrete and steel. It all boils down to one huge choice, a tale of two very, very different strategies a developer can take. Okay, let's get right into it. Put yourself in the developer's shoes for a second. You've just got your hands on a perfect plot of land. Now you're facing a massive choice that's going to define the whole project. Do you build for a customer who's already promised to move in, or do you build what you think the market wants and just cross your fingers and hope they show up? This, right here, is the developer's dilemma.
All right, so let's explore that first path. This is the safer route, the one that's all about certainty. It's called the build-to-suit strategy. And well, for a very good reason. It's pretty much known as the sure thing in the development world.
So what is it exactly?
Well, build-to-suit, or BTS for short, is when a developer puts up a building for one specific tenant, and that tenant has already signed a long-term lease. We're talking 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. The most important part? The first shovel doesn't even hit the dirt until that ink is dry on the contract. And this is the perfect way to think about it. This is not an off-the-rack building you can just pick up. No, this is a bespoke creation. Every single detail, from the layout of a corporate headquarters to the exact ceiling height in a giant warehouse, is custom designed for the needs of that one single client. So what's the appeal? Well, the advantages are pretty powerful. The biggest one? You've basically wiped out all the leasing risk before you even start building. That pre-signed lease means you've got guaranteed money coming in from the second the doors open. And you know who loves that kind of certainty? The banks. It makes getting a loan a whole lot easier and usually on much better terms. But all that safety comes with a price. And the trade-offs are real. For one, your profit potential is capped. You've already locked in your return with that lease. And because the building is so specialized, it can be a nightmare to find a new tenant if your original one ever leaves. Which brings us to a huge point. The entire project's success is tied to the financial health of that one single company. Okay, now let's flip the coin. If build-to-suit is the sure thing, this next strategy is the complete opposite. It's way riskier, but wow, it's also potentially way more rewarding. Welcome to speculative development, the high-stakes bet. Speculative development, or Spec as it's known, is exactly what it sounds like. A developer builds a whole property with absolutely no tenants lined up. None. They are making a massive, calculated bet that by the time construction is finished, the market is going to be hot and tenants will be lining up, checkbooks in hand, ready to move in. So if BTS is that custom-tailored suit, then spec development is like designing an entire fashion line for a big department store. You create a more generic, flexible product, what they call a vanilla box, that you hope will appeal to a ton of different customers who can then come in and make it their own. So you're probably asking, why on earth would anyone take on that much risk? Well, the answer is pretty simple. The chance for a huge reward. The profit potential here is just way, way higher. If you time the market just right, you get all of the upside. Plus, you can start building so much faster since you're not bogged down for months in lease negotiations. But, and this is a big but, the downsides are just as dramatic. You are personally taking on 100% of the vacancy risk. If the market takes a nosedive while you're building, you could be stuck with a very expensive, very empty building that's just bleeding cash every single month. It's why banks demand way more of your own money up front and charge you higher interest rates. Getting the timing wrong here can be absolutely catastrophic. Okay, so we've met the contenders. We have the safe path, and we have the high-stakes gamble. Now it's time for the main event. Let's put these two strategies in the ring, head to head, and see how they really stack up against each other. This table just lays it all out so perfectly. For build-to-suit, your biggest fear, your absolute nightmare, is your one tenant going out of business. For spec, it's the entire market collapsing, leaving you with no tenants at all. Financing, like we said, is a much smoother ride for BTS. And the bottom line on profit really tells the whole story. Capped but certain versus uncapped but a total question mark. And if you're a numbers person, this chart says it all. A developer doing a safe build-to-suit project is probably looking for a solid, respectable return, maybe somewhere in that 10 to 15% range. But the spec developer? Oh, they're playing a different game. They have to be shooting for returns of 20, 30%, maybe even higher, just to make taking on all that risk worth it. So, we understand the stakes for the developer, but this choice isn't just about some company's bottom line. It actually has a much bigger impact than you'd think. What does this decision really mean for the rest of us?
And this is why this all matters. This one choice a developer makes literally shapes the cities we live in. Think about it. A market full of careful build-to-suit projects tends to grow steadily because new buildings only go up when there's proven demand. But a city skyline packed with spec office towers, that can lead to these huge booms followed by really painful busts, with empty buildings just sitting there waiting for tenants that might never arrive. At the end of the day, it really just boils down to this. The path a developer picks tells you everything you need to know about them, how much risk they can stomach, how much cash they have access to, and maybe most important of all, how much they truly believe in the future of that specific street corner in that specific city. So here's the takeaway. The next time you walk past a construction site and see a crane swinging overhead, you'll see more than just steel and glass. You'll see a story playing out. And now you'll know the right question to ask yourself: am I looking at a carefully crafted, custom-made sure thing, or a massive billion-dollar bet on the future?